Hello, everyone. Our team is called Bytes, and we created Speakeasy, the AI language translator. So, for the agenda, we will do a recap. We will talk about team roles and responsibilities, the improvements we made, the project description, team working agreement, and personas. Then we will do a project overview. So we will speak about the MVP, languages and tools, algorithms, diagrams, and sprint one recap. After we will discuss our backlogs, such as product backlog, sprint 2 and 3 summary, sprint 3 backlog, test cases, and story completion. We will then speak about our team metrics, the team velocity, burn down charts, retrospective, and afterwards we will discuss our product, which includes our application screenshot, API, and the live application demo. I will turn it over into Venkat.
Hey, hi, all. Like, this is my our team role, team members, and the team roles and responsibility I'll be explaining today. This is Rakesh Kumar. He's a team lead and developer. This is like Tanvi, and she's Scrum Master and developer. And Callie is a like tester and the product designer. Uh, and Steve, Venkat, and Pawan, like we three of like having like full stack development. We have been worked in front end and back end both. And today I'm explaining about the improvements of our project. User stories for the acceptance criteria. Use this given when then syntax. So no need to include future section if it does not related to the application. Velocity. No need to include these historical complex to commit graph data, not the complete to commit ratio. The velocity is the team completed points. Cumulative flow diagram and the Bunch chart, description chart, and accelerator were presented. And the problem statement of our project, like understanding the future in foreign language is often a challenge as each language has its own unique structure and meaning. Effectively communication with the uh, negative speakers become difficult with the proper understanding and mastering every language is nearly impossible to address the issue. We have a aim to create an application that helps bring the communication gap by the conversation audio into the translation and the transcription into multiple languages, enable people to understand and engage in conversation in more easily. Like foreign people is like traveling to another country, like they don't know the exact language of their own, so they can use this app and they can translate it the language which they are using in that country. So it will be useful to the consumers like who are like using this application. And our project description is like our project name is SpeakJet, and our team name is like Bytes. This project description is for user, we need to communicate across different languages. The AI-powered transcription and translation web application is seamless solution that converts audio into multiple text and that enables user to understand conversation effectively. So regardless of the language barrier. Unlike current tools that may require more translation or lack real-time accuracy, our application integrate advanced AI model to provide and the real-time transcription and translation across language communication effectively across culture and religion. Benefits of outcomes like better communication, easy accessible, and this is the GitHub link of our project. Our teamwork agreement when we have started our project. First one is like communication. Our team will like used to communicate through the Zoom, WhatsApp, and also use Google Docs to utilize and collaborate document editing and sharing resources. Team members should like alert the team in advance if they are unable to join the Zoom meeting. Team members are expected to provide regular updates on the task process and communication. Any obstacles are delayed to the group. Team members are encouraged to actively participate in discussion, providing feedback and support as needed. During all discussion, team members should listen carefully, speak clearly, and stay on the top to avoid confusion. Each team member should complete all assigned work before the deadline. If they are struggling with any task, they should contact to this team as soon as possible to resolve the issue. Failure to complete work before the deadline can navigate to project timeline. And here is like work division and the participation. Zero and GitHub like will be used to track our divided all tasks. The entire project should be divided into equal parts and the team member should be given equal responsibilities. If a team member is not participating in the level, the other member or the team lead is permitted to assign necessary tasks to that member. Each team member is responsible for their assigned tasks and their contribution to the overall success of the project. And like we used, and this is the uh, meeting schedules of our project. Regular team meetings will be scheduled twice a week at Sunday 2 p.m. and Thursday 5:30 p.m. via Zoom. And individuals and collaborate process. Failing to join these meetings will navigate to affect the group. If unable to attend this scheduled meeting, team members should inform the group in advance. In any urgent situation, additional meeting may be arranged with at least 24 hours notice. Like meeting agent will be agendas will be sent to at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. Meeting will communicate on the time with members expected to join 2 minutes prior to start. All team members are required to have their Zoom cameras open during the meeting. They are required to show respect, actively listen, and participate by sharing feedbacks and suggestions. Team agreements to follow the aligned process through the project. Meet at the beginning of each sprint to discuss tasks of the upcoming sprint. Meet at the end of the each sprint to present the completion work or gather feedback. And here we go the response and profilism of our project. All communication and interaction within the team will be conducted with respect to device viewpoint and the input should be appreciated. Feedback should be constructive and centered on the project and on the personal traits. If a member disagrees with the decision, they're requested to review the next time meeting. The team aims to create a welcome space where everyone feels comfortable sharing their ideas. Any disagreement should be addressed openly and respectfully within the team. If any internal resolution is not possible, the team will seek advice from the professor. And the definition of the done MVP done for the language translation app. The app can transcribe the given audio into the text without error. The application can successfully translate the transcript audio to the specific language without error. A user is able to upload or delete an audio file to the application without error. Code has been reviewed and approved by all team members. The app has been manually tested for the usability and performance. Codes are documented with the comments where necessary. And translation app. All the required presentation slides are completed. The wiki page document are posted and all the links are represented. Sprint planning presentation and the demo videos are recorded and posted. The technical paper or usual memo are completed later sprint. Definition of the done. User story DOD for the language transcription app. Transcription app. Code has been reviewed by all the team members. Code has been tested by all the team members. Okay, and team like our team members and the emails are over here. Cali's email ID, Tanvi email ID, Steve's and Pawan, Rakesh and Venkat. It's mine. Like persona will be explaining by Cali. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Venkat. So now I will discuss the personas. So we have Rod. So we have Jose Rodriguez. He is a dock worker. He is 53 years old and a male who lives in Louisiana. He has a high school diploma and over 15 years of experience. So he is qualified in managing and handling securing cargoes using forklifts. He is an excellent team worker. He's organized and physically capable. And of course, he has a forklift license. So the goal and why he would need the speakeasy application is because he's originally from Mexico, and so he relocated to the USA for a better, a better life for he and his children. And because he's from Mexico, his original language is Spanish, so he's not very fluent in English. And because he's getting older and he works in like the construction business, he's having to visit doctors very frequently. And because the doctors in America, their native language is English, he's having difficulty communicating with them. And so he doesn't want to burden his children by having them come along to translate the communication between he and the doctor. And also he would like to like maintain some confidentiality between he and the doctor. So he's looking for an application where he can converse with the doctor without any communication hindrances and also keep transcripts as part of the medical records before and after the translation. So next we have Anjali. She's a lawyer. She's 27 years old and a female from Edinburgh, UK. She's has an LLM in international law and more than 4 years of experience. So she's skilled in conducting in-depth research regarding international legal issues. She's proficient in explaining legal concepts and mediating in legal cases. And she's very professional. She showcases confidence and um, she has she's very good at like problem solving. So, because she's a lawyer, she has to provide legal advice to multinational corporations, um, in order to comply with the different regulations for both UK and their Swedish subsidiaries. Um, and she doesn't want to like disclose business information between, any third party. So she's looking for an application where she can transcribe and translate and discuss during meetings without breaching confidentiality and to create further confidentiality agreements with translators. And then we have Nicole. She's an executive administrative assistant. She's 27. She's a female and from Toronto, Canada. She has a bachelor's of business administration and only 1 year of experience. So she is proficient in Excel, Microsoft Office, Outlook, and Google Workspace. She's a certified administrative professional and she has excellent organizational, administrative, and interpersonal skills. So Nicole is originally from New York, but she relocated to Canada for work. And Canada, it's I would say a bilingual country. So, they speak French and English, although of course there are other languages there. And so, because she has to attend daily meetings and transcribe the meetings for her higher ups, the native Canadians in the meetings, they sometimes switch between French and English while they're speaking. And this frustrates Nicole because her original language is English and it's pretty hard to to transcribe a meeting where you don't understand some of the French terms. So she's looking for a tool that will help her efficiently transcribe the meetings and also assist with translating the French terms. So we have our MVP design. This is our original Figma design and what the functions that we really wanted to implement to make this a working application is that the user should be able to upload audio. So they should be able to upload a .mp3 file from their computer, and the application shouldn't allow any other file types, such as like a doc or PDF or like an MP4. The user should also be able to remove the audio file. So just in case they accidentally upload the wrong one. The user should be able to record audio from the mic. We find that if a user is able to record audio using our application, it can make it very easy for the user to use. So if they're outside and they would like to speak to someone who has a different language background from them, They would like the ease of access to just be able to record and then, probably have the other person record and then translate it so that they can, easily communicate with each other. Um, the application should be able to transcribe the audio into the language that the user spoken. The user should be able to select the language that they would like to translate um, their transcription into, and the application should be able to translate the transcription. So our application, when a user inputs an audio, whether it be by importing a file or using our application to record it, the application should then transcribe the audio into text into the language that the user spoke in, and then the user should be able to select the language to translate the audio into, and our application should translate the audio into the language the user selects. So the technologies we used in our application to make Speakeasy successful was for the programming languages and frameworks, we use HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, and React. So Speakeasy used these applications for the dynamic user interface. It allows the user to interact with our computer. We use the libraries of Byte, Hugging Face, Material UI, and Tailwind. So Byte is used to build and develop the front end for Speakeasy. Okay, so we use Material UI as a React component for the user interface. We use Tailwind CSS, which is a framework for creating responsive designs. And then we use Hugging Face to assist with building the AI-powered application. The tools we use were GitHub, VS Code, Figma, and Jira. So GitHub is a remote version control and collaborative development. VS Code is a code editor. Figma is an application brainstorming design. Um, and Jira is for assisting with project management. And we use a file-based database to store the user's translated and transcribed text. So for the algorithms we use, the application should be able to take in our audio as input and convert it into the desired language as discussed in the MVP. And to achieve this, we need an AI model for automatic speech recognition and speech translation. So the most suitable neural network to use in order to perform this task is a transformer. I discuss more about transformers in our technical paper. You could check it out in our wiki page. So a transformer is a neural network architecture especially designed for processing sequential data like natural language processing. Um, the transformer uses an encoder-decoder structure and make use of attention mechanisms in order to capture relationships between elements in a sequence. So unlike RNN, transformers process data in parallel, which makes them faster and more scalable. So in an encoder-decoder structure, the encoder processes the input, which can be text, audio, and then generates encodings. The decoder takes the encodings, uses to derive context, and generates the output sequence. So we use a whisper model, and a whisper model is a transformer which is based on the encoder-decoder structure. It was trained on over 680,000 hours of labeled speech data. The model can perform both speech and um, the model can perform both speech recognition and speech translation. So I'm going to hand it off to Vaughn, and he's going to describe more about the diagrams.
Hello everyone, my name is Pawan Polireddy. I'm a full stack developer in this project, and I'm going to explain about the diagrams and architecture we followed in our project. So coming to the context diagram, it's the overview of how the application works. So whenever a user inputs something to our application, it sends the data to AI model, and the AI model will be sending the data to the application, and it will be displayed to the user. So this is how the flow works. And this is our architecture diagram for the Speakeasy application. So we have the user interface, which is the front end, where user will input an audio file. and we are using React for the framework. And for styling, we are using Tailwind CSS. So when a user uploads an audio, it sends that to the server, and the server sends the data to database. Along with that, it will feed the audio data to AI model. So whenever AI model responds with some output, it is sent to the server, and it's updated in the database as well, to store that in the history. And then the final output is returned to the front end part. So this is a more deep understanding of the architecture used inside the application. So in the sequence diagram, you can see user inputs some uh, uploads an audio file, and it will be sent to the AI model. The audio is fed to the AML model or AI model, and then the transcription is again sent back from AI model to the user, and then user can either select it in the beginning, or after, once he get the transcription, he can select the language. And once the user selects the language for translation, then it again, the translated transcription is sent to the AI model, and it will be translated back, and the output is sent to the user. So this is the logical sequence diagram flow for the Speakeasy application. And yeah, it pretty much speaks about the same, the state diagram. You can see the user and the recording that user has submitted, and it should be an MP3 or .wav file, and the audio will be passed to the AI model, which will transcribe, and then based on the selected language, it will translate that and will be sent back to the user. So this is the class diagram of the database in Firebase, like how we are storing the data. We have I mean, we are in Firebase, we actually have a key value pair uh, sort of database. But if you see here, user has the following fields. Along with that, history will be one of the key, and it contains all the histories of the previous translations. And out of those translations, user can select particular translations as his favorites to refer them back quickly. And if you see the ER diagram, these are the fields that will be stored in the ER diagram. So this is a user entity and history entity and the favorites entity, which has one-to-many mapping, and history and favorite has one-to-one mappings, and user and favorites has one-to-many. User can have many favorites. And this is our sprint recap. Sprint to recap what we did in the earlier sprint. We updated the UI, like applying Tailwind CSS and limiting the audio file size to 20 MB. So user can't select more than 20 MB because the AI model needs to get the data in form of chunks. So if you send more data, it will be a heavy load on the AI model. So the maximum file size is 20 MB, and the uploaded audio file, uh, based on the user's language, we are transcribing that. And then we are in the previous sprint, we are translating only into English, but in the current sprint we updated that. And the sign in drop, create account base, we updated all these things. And in the last sprint, we are able to complete 66% of the stories. So this is our sprint 3 recap, the current sprint which just ended. These are the following features we implemented as part of this sprint. So audio input time, when user is recording his audio, we limited that audio input time, and the language selection drop down with more languages, and the text into other languages. In the previous sprint, we did only to English, but now currently we're translating it to uh, multiple languages, and we integrated the database to our application so that users can have the customized translations or favorites. And the history page, we updated the history page to show the users previous translations, and a favorite button to mark translations as favorite. And my team page help and support. Yeah, in this sprint, as is our last sprint, we stretched ourselves to complete all the user stories, and our 100% of the user stories were completed in the sprint. So this is our product backlog. Initially, when we started the application, These are the stories which we created in the backlog. So on these are the different features we have. For each feature, we have multiple user stories. Pretty much this is our backlog, and in the sprints, when working on the sprints, we got more enhancements and new stories we got added that got added to the backlog, and we were able to complete all those. And this is the sprint 3 backlog. The sprint just ended. These are the following stories that we worked on the previous sprint. So with different personas, we handled multiple scenarios and achieved the following features. Yep, thank you. I'm handing it to Steve, who will be talking about the next slides.
Hi, my name is Steve, and I'm gonna go over our Sprint 3 user stories and test cases. So in this sprint, we added quite a more features in our application. I'm not gonna go into too much details. I'm gonna briefly explain some of them. First, we added a time limit for the audio recording so that the user doesn't try to record something that is really long because the longer is the recording, the longer it's going to take the application to try to transcribe and translate it. So we didn't want that. So next, we added a drop-down menu where the user can select the output language. And then we set up and connect our database. Um, Next, we added a star icon so that the user can add a translation as favorite. When click on the icon, the translation will be marked as favorite, and then when click again, it will be unmarked. Next, all the past translation will be saved. The user will be able to see them on the right side of the screen. Next, also, the user are able to delete the past translation because they are all gonna be saved. So maybe sometime not everybody want people to see their translation, so we can just clear the history. Also, now the user are able to log in after creating an account, and if and the user will not be able to create another account with an email that is already in use. Okay. And also, if the user needs help from us, there is somewhere on the application like a help button where the user can click on it and send an email to all of us. When sending an email, all of the members of the team gonna receive that email. Also, the user can change uh, the the change to light and dark mode so that it depends. The user doesn't want to see the bright screen, you can change it to put it dark, so can user can do all of that. And also we have like detail the user manual so the user can find all the steps to see the functionality of the application. It's like a guide, so the user gonna be able to see it in our GitHub, the GitHub link. So now let's go over the test cases. These test cases we're looking at right now are from the past sprint, so we're not gonna go over them. So let's go over the test cases for the sprint 3. Okay, for sprint 3, these are the test cases. First, we see the star icon button that mark it changes in our favorite. So we test it, and as a result, it passed. So it passed the test. And also we show the user how to the test steps. Okay, so the user just translate the text and click on the star icon button, locate, and we will see the translation marked as favorite in the right side of the screen. Also, we pretty much test everything that in our for our user stories, and luckily everything passed. So our database is connected, everything, all the translation auto save. User are able to delete their history. User are able to log in on the account. User are able to change from dark to light mode, everything. So, and finally for the audio time recording, we tested, and again, um, it's passed. Okay, so that was all for the user stories and test cases for Sprint 3. And for next slide, I'm gonna leave you with Tanvi. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tanvi, and I'll be talking about Sprint 3 user stories, which we have completed. I won't go in detail because we have already went in detail with each of this user story in the previous slides, but I will go through the slides showing the user stories which we have completed. And I'll also talk about the Sprint 3 user stories which we have not completed. So our team, all user stories have been completed, and our team does not have any backlog left. And with that, I will talk about the team velocity. So the total story points completed is 59 points, as we do not have any backlog, and all the user stories we expected to complete, which are 59 points, have all of them have been completed. Our total story point completion is the same as our total user story point. Now, let's talk about our team's historical velocity. So our velocity chart, you can see the sprint 1, sprint 2, and sprint 3. You can surely see in sprint 1, we have more story points than in sprint 2. That just shows our enthusiasm of our team in the very first sprint. Then our sprint 2, we ended up overestimating our story points than necessary and ended up having 5 user story backlogs. But we tried to cover that in sprint 3 along with our sprint 3 user stories, and that's why we have more story points in sprint 3 than any other sprints. So that's why you see the sprint 3 is very big in story points than the sprint 1 and 2. Let's talk about burn down chart. So if you see a burn down chart, I will explain that in the start, it started out a bit slower, and it's mainly because we had to research more. Our team had to research more on how to translate into multiple languages. So our application in Sprint 2 was only translating any language into English, but we wanted to make sure that any language is able to translate into any other language. So to do that, we had to take a bit of time to search on how to translate into multiple languages and come up with a method to add drop downs so that the user can see multiple language, and uh, and then later on we also took a bit of time in the start to understand how to set up database, and that took us few days. But once we got our database, we were able to start looking into other tickets, because a lot of our other tickets were very much integrated with having a Firebase database. So that helped to do other tasks like the user login, where the database was storing the user's information and passwords. And also, we were able to create the relationship where each user can store and save past translations. and able to have a history section of each user so that the user can go back to the application. So these four user story tickets, we were able to start working on it right away after the database was after the database ticket was done. And that's why you can see there is a bit of a hype in the start, and then try to complete other tickets. But then again, our group started having taking more time into doing other tickets like the translation, favoriting the translation and marking and unmarking favorites. And even though that was related to the database, it took more time to implement than usual. So it took some time to finish. But then again, once our related to the database tickets were done, you can see there is a bit of a hype there again, where all the small tickets, which were not very much focused with the database, we started working on those as well. And you can see like there is a big hype here where we tried to finish as many tickets as we could. Um, Even though it started very slow, but then after the database was done, the translation, the major user stories and the major features like history and user login and favoriting, those three main focus was done, which you can see a very big hype in the chart. We start like looking into theme preference and toggle button for dark mode and light mode. And then over time, you can also see that we try to rush in now for the presentation tickets and the user manual and the installation and deployment. And at the end now, completing all the user stories, we were thinking to complete. That said, in summary, I can say our this sprint started a bit slower because there was a lot of research and a lot of implementation. And then later on, the group took over all the other tickets quickly as possible so that we could finish them in the time before the deadline. So that's the burn down chart in a nutshell. And I'll go down to the completed committed ratio. So like I said, talked about this before, our committed story points were 59 and we completed all of our story points, which was 59. So we have 100% percent. And I'll talk about retrospective as well. So in the retrospective, we have total of 14 cards and all 6 of the members were present. And we created only one action item. And overall, the retrospective went pretty good. I felt people were very comfortable at the end of the sprint. We know each other now. In what went well, we were all kudos to have being the last sprint right now, and that the team worked together, communicated, and collaborated. In terms of what needs to be improved, a lot of focus was on that if we had to redo this project again, it would have been better to stick with the standard, the idea we had in the very start, um, and stick to the coding standards. The second is to gather more user feedback so that we know the product is focused on the requirements, more on the customer use cases in the future, and initiate more proactively to take the task. So since gather more user feedback and refine the product is related to the application, we decided not to come up with an action item for it. The first one was more of a future thing, a future, like a past. The first one is more like you go back and think about an approach. So you can't really think of an action item for that. But then the last one where initiate more proactively to take the tasks, we came up with an action item saying if any of the team member does not have a lot of tasks, then please make it to the point to ask others if they need assistance. And that way, um, more, even though there is better communication, there's like more, it's just better to get assistance when needed. Um, um, our timeline for this sprint was something very similar to our last sprint, where we focused on our backend and our database. And once the database and the backend was fully done, then we moved on to front end, like the toggle and theme preferences and making the web more responsive and using the Tailwind CSS. And then moving forward, we focus more on testing all our user stories and also doing the technical report, the user manual and installation manual, and at the end we had a deliverable. Project schedule starts. So this is our project schedule, and we started from September 6th. We finished our sprint 0, sprint 1, and sprint 2. This is the end of sprint 3, and we hope to implement recording option, which we actually did. We implemented the sign-in too, and we made sure that the translated version can be downloaded and store records. So I think what we hoped for over the sprints, we have managed roughly to get that. And now I will forward it to Rakesh, who will talk more about the ahead slides.
Hello everyone, I will be presenting about the application of our speakeasy application. As you can see, this is the sign up page where you can create an account. You can use the application even if you don't have an account, but you won't be have the opportunity to save your translations and look back into your history. So this is the sign up page, and after successfully creating an account, you can go to your application. The application will directly redirect to the login page, and you can log in. And after logging in, you can have this home page where you can upload an audio file, any audio file, any language audio file, and translate it to your uh, desired target language. As you can see, here we are uploading a Polish audio file, and we are getting an output translation in German. uh, Here you can see those transcription and translation output, and also you can copy this translation or transcription. You can download it You can also mark it as a favorite to quickly go pick those translations history. You can also view the history of your previous translations, and you can also clear the history. Or there are other few features here are dark mode, where you can switch your theme to dark mode and switch between dark mode and light mode. Here you can see the code for the backend code for interacting with the AI model Whisper. So once the user hits the translate button, the API handles the request, posts that query to the AI model, and which spawns the Python sub process. And in the Python sub process, the as you can see here, it is interacting with the Whisper model. The reason why we are using a Python sub process here is Node.js and Express.js don't directly have a support for in Whisper model. So, but Python does. So what we are doing here is once the user hits the translate button, we are spawning this Python sub process, which has the support for Whisper model. So this Python script interacts with this Whisper model, generates the translation and the transcription of the given audio, and returns that audio, returns the result, and that's what you are showing over there. Welcome to the last uh, demonstration of our application. uh, we have successfully completed our application. As you can see, this is the home page where you can upload your audio file and get a translation and transcription of your audio in your desired language. Now, before performing any translation, I would like to show you some other features like dark mode and light mode. We can also create an account. Now, since I don't have an account, I want to create one. uh, Let me just give a sample name and a password. Now, if I successfully created an account, it will redirect me to login. So now that I am logged in, I can now see that there is a difference here, and it now shows logout. I can also switch to dark mode, like I said. Now let's jump to the main part where I have to upload an audio file. So let's start with Chinese. Now I want to translate this Chinese audio file to English. Okay, great. So as you can see, you can see the transcription of the given audio Chinese file, and here you can see the translation of that Chinese transcription in English. We can also copy this text. We can download it. We can also mark it as favorite uh, here. Now there is a we can also convert this Chinese file into some other language, like let's say Spanish. Let's translate and see. It might take a while because yeah, we have limited computation resources. Now, as you can see, our Chinese audio has been translated to Spanish audio, and not just Spanish, it can translate to many other languages, as you can see. And I can also mark it as favorite, or remove it from favorites. Let's say I mark it as favorite and I want to view all my favorites, then I have to click this option. uh, you can see that these are my favorites, and I can also view the history of all my translations. And yeah, that's it. I can also clear the history, view my favorites because I have cleared the history, and that's it. I can finally log out after uh, completing my uh, translation. And you can also click for support, which will redirect you to your Gmail, and you can mail them. And that's it. And this is our wiki page, and that's it. Thank you.